It's Sunday over here, and the full moon was amazing over the weekend. The full moon in Scorpio. And my last live, I think I was talking about a shift, and it was big, and I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling the onset of this shift. I just did a little short that kind of highlighted this nervous kind of feeling that I've had, like right around my third eye. And I'm not big on like collective channeling and spreading metaphysical awareness through um, mass, you know, readings, but I do tap into three specific people that I feel might be tapped into. Like, I think there's a network going on, and I've been really unproductive in the areas that I have usually been very productive, like music, singing with my kids, dancing in the living room, painting, drawing, fine arts, visual arts, creative arts, because I've been so in touch with nature and so into this like rhythm of emotion. Like, just it's so clear to me that there's something going on. And right after this shift that I was talking about, that I could feel happening, like we had an earthquake in a very odd place here in our country, right in the middle of the country, like far away from the ring of fire. My goodness, my throat chakra. Whew. And then there was a few other physical changes in the elements. I mean, spring is here, and now, there's fire risks and whatnot, and, things happen because of humans. And I've been contemplating how we've affected this beautiful space, this environment, the water, the air. And my kids have been like battling their own immune system stuff. So, like, it's just funny because I posted this about a shift, and then they were given money from a friend of my mother's who's no longer with me, but they came out here, gave my kids money, and my daughter, my youngest, had got her first purse, and then she lost it at a place that has like immense. I've lost a cell phone in this thrift store right in front of me because I was trying on jewelry, and I was, mom brain, and there was no way I was going to try and get it back from these people. Like, I was like, I'm done. Like, you guys win. Um, and then I had to go and get a new cell phone, but like somehow this purse got returned, and I phoned because it was Wednesday we lost it. I phoned on Saturday, and I was like, it was my day off. I was all excited, and we left, she left her purse there. And they said, "Yeah, we have your unicorn purse." And I couldn't believe it. I mean, they wanted proof, and I did have it because we went for bubble tea before we went to this thrift store, and I had a cute picture, but I was still just like shocked that my daughter's purse was there. She was so disheartened too. Like, we think we have problems. Try being 6 and losing your first purse. Like, it is serious stuff. Anyways, all her money was in it. My other daughter, she spent hers before she could even lose it. Smart girl. And then on the way home from losing the purse, I also found this, which I don't normally show money, but this is our money here in Canada. And like, this is $1 billion to a single mom. Okay, this is a lot of money. My mom's friend had put money in the car, and like, I haven't had a break since 2019. Okay, so this was like a massive shift for me. And it came as I started to feel this shift going on, which is like heavily going on. I can feel it. I can't even read. Like, I'm trying to read this book that was given to me across the country when we were visiting family. It's about the emotional brain. And I can't even like get underneath the surface of that. Like, there's so much going on that I'm distracted by, because normally I'd be playing my guitar and singing in the shower and doing my hair. I was supposed to be dyeing my hair, which looks actually really good, and I don't know if I need to dye it yet. Like, what is going on? Like, I felt like crap last week. All of a sudden, it's just like, it's not even about the money. It's not even about the energy. It's not even about the little signs. It's like, I don't know, it's something in this like there's like a rebirth or something happening that's like beyond just our human nature. Even the song Human Nature came on when I went to go pick up my kids the next day after we lost the purse and had like the most sorrowful, grievous bedtime that we've had in a long time. It's like losing magic. It's like losing like your mojo. Like it's like losing all your pictures. Like that's what it was like for my little girl, because it was a sense of responsibility, right? And this world is so hard on you. It's like if you forget to pay a bill or you like just can't, they're like your life is over. You either pay it or there's no point in you living anymore, is what it's like here, anyways. I don't know what it's like in other places, but like, you know, it's serious stuff. And like, you can't get away with like making mistakes in this world, right? And I don't want her to grow up like that. So I went to go pick them up the next day, and I had this like moment where it was sunny and I was like, just I don't even remember what I was gonna say, but oh, Human Nature came on. I was sitting there in the sun. Fuck, it was hot. Like, I don't even know if I said that word, but if I did, this video is now no longer for anybody under the age of 18. But if it's still here for people the age of 18 and under, that word was kind of like sort of pronounced there at the end, but we'll see. It's always interesting to gamble like that. Um, but I'm like staring out my windshield, thinking I need to get out of my car. The kids are like not going to be here for 5 minutes. Why am I sitting in my car sweating when I could be standing outside like everyone else? Come on, like, let's go. And finally, I like opened the door and it was amazing. Like, why didn't I do that 17 minutes earlier? I don't know. But I had my car like on, not idling, and Human Nature by Michael Jackson came on, and I know his movie's out. I just found out from my mom's friend who gave us this money. Um, but I didn't at the time. Like, I didn't think of it at the time. I just thought like this song is from when I was like 13. Like, wow, take me back. Wow. And it's such a beautiful song. Like the way that music is written in this world is so unbelievably technologically advanced. Like we have come so far. Like I remember the first movie I ever watched was Pink Floyd The Wall. The second movie was Mozart, all in one night. My parents were really into music. And this was like on Sony Betamax up north above the Arctic Circle and like below 30 weather, stuck inside all the time. Like your brain kind of just learns how to use the imagination. And I remember that movie really well. Like music has come so far, and we started documenting music almost right away on film, and then it just kind of blew up. Like it's so beautiful how tailored a song can become. And this song, the way it played in my car, I don't know, I'm a musical person, and this car stereo, it's for stock stereo, is really good. And I've lucked out the last 3 cars I've had with stereos, but I've had some like shady stereos that are just like, why was this ever, it's like putting like a dollar store speaker in a car. I've had stereos like that where like, why. And I've actually brought like portable speakers into those cars before because there's no point in putting it's like listening to headphones as like your speaker. But anyway, I could hear every sound so clearly, and like the wind was like sweeping across my face. I felt like I was in a movie, and that's like not a state that I find super easy to get into because I'm very sensitive to stress. Like any amount of stress, whether it's somebody else's stress that I care about or like the world, it really heavily weighs on me, and it takes me a lot to like get back into my dream state, my daydream state of like, life is beautiful, life is wonderful, life is amazing. And it's not that I want to be like that all the time and always be like happy all the time. I know that like there's a range of human emotions for a reason. But even the emotions that are heavier and, reflect a more sad state of the world, are beautiful and can be experienced in a beautiful way, right? And that's what I feel like this whole shift is about. I think a lot of people are kind of turning away from the world, because there's 95% of it is sort of not in our hands. And what do you do when you don't have like any input or control, or you can't participate in any of that stuff, right? That 95%. And I guess, like, to kind of close out, because I didn't sleep last night, just sometimes when these shifts happen, it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like going through some kind of weird labyrinth, like mental maze. I don't know how else to explain it. But like song lyrics will come into my mind and then piece together with like conversations, and like it's this whole kaleidoscope effect. And when I was driving my youngest today, because she got her purse back, and so, she's been spending her money like crazy. She's nothing like me, but um, I took her to go. I went and got some fresh rosemary for myself for free, and um, found like, some beads and some other things that she was going to get, and some planting pots and whatnot. And she was in awe of the gravel hills that have been made by these construction companies. Like, oh my God, look at that mountain, she says. And I'm like, wow, it's, a whole bunch of like ground up rocks from the earth. Like, it's so beautiful. Yeah. Of course, I just like said, yeah, it's amazing. And she was like, how did it get there? Right. And I'm like, oh, like very special workers and machines. And I'm looking at these signs, and it's like only 25,000, like you only need $25,000 to get into these buildings that are going to be built. Like, wow, that's crazy that, like, you know, to live on this planet, you just need like $25,000. It's just, my kid is like going to be reading soon, right? And I'm just wishing that like we were passing by the sequoia giants, and not these signs. But where I live right now, like in this special tiny little gem that was once like secret and hidden, and you could only get to by bus if you had like 7 hours to spare, it's just totally surrounded by development. So it's, you know, the shift is really about adaptation, and not necessarily like surrendering and just being like, okay, you won, Fern Gully's over. Like, if you've never seen Fern Gully, I really highly recommend you watch Fern Gully if you want to like be in touch with nature. um it's real, it's a true story. um but it's not really like just succumbing to the hands of these machines and the governments and everything else, and yeah, there's no point in being bitter at what's going on, but like it is important to recognize that there is like a conflict, right, between nature and man, and women and humans and everything alive. Like, everything alive bears all of it, right? Like, it's just constant. And the adaptation part of it is like, I feel like emotional adaptation is really where it's at right now. Like, having these little signs happening for me lately, like where um I'm feeling nerves and stuff that I've never felt before, because I want to know how this all ends. Like, I want to know how the earth eventually transmutes everything and like learns to adapt, right? And we are essentially that. And before I went to bed, well, I'm in bed right now, but like I'm not sleeping, but obviously before I went, like when my brain was shutting down, because I like to shut down by 11:11 if I can. It's like 11:30. Um, I have like a handful of clients that I work for, so every night I kind of like premeditate how my day is going to be. Oh, I'm going to see so and so, and they're whatever they are, a doctor, a nurse. Usually it's somebody in the service industry or medical industry, because they are tired, overworked, have no time, and have a family. And I don't know how these people do it on computers and whatnot. I tried to go on my computer for 20 minutes to write tonight. And because I've worked so much in the last 3 days, I couldn't sit. Like, I couldn't even like look at it. The computer felt like it was like the sun. Like, it was so hot. And I was like, I can't do this. Like my arms were just like so tense. And I was like, is this part of the shift? Like, I don't normally get that restless, but it was just like, whoa, like I don't want anything to do with technology right now. And so I, cut that out early, went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and just had my little reflection time. And I was like, we're all actually just like here at once. Like we're kind of just all coming into this collective consciousness, and we were connected, right? A lot of people feel disconnected, I think, and I think a lot of people also feel disconnected from the earth, right? And I know for my mom, she didn't have parents, so like she definitely felt disconnected in general. And that's reflected in a lot of like the paperwork that I saw after she passed away, and just like studying these generations, something that I've had a lot of time to do before I really actually ever was able to work. Um, we all chose it. I really feel like we all gravitated towards wherever we're at right in this moment, whether like we're somebody who has billions of dollars or somebody who, uses an ancient cell phone on Wi-Fi outside of a Timmy's at the door, with a sleeping bag, or um, someone who is just learning English, or somebody who, has reincarnated 12 times and is writing about it. That's not me. I'm not, definitely not. That would take me like way too long. I'm so slow. But I also don't feel like reincarnation happens in cycles, like one after another. I feel like some people are more like layers, and I'm a layer person, and it's really evident. Like, um, I don't use AI often, but I'm very open minded, and I created a picture and it had layers of like curtains over my face. And then my daughter tonight, the same one that lost the purse, she picked a card out of my Starseed oracle, and I looked at her face. She just had this like really intelligent, emotional, sensitive, like full moon in Scorpio kind of vibe. And I was like, are you special? Like, who are you? I definitely feel your energy. And she picked this card that was like a veil, like somebody like looking like their body like this with like a window and like curtains. And that's what I've been feeling on my nose like all day, just this nerve sensitivity. And so it's these tiny little things I think that are so important, and at the end of the day, anxiety, grief, stress, all these things that dysregulate us, all these things that imbalance our hormones, that throw us off, that test us, that push us, we're kind of almost creating it. Like I think we're I wouldn't go as far as saying like everyone is addicted to like stress and pain, but I think that it is part of the human experience. And whether it's like nerve pain in your teeth, or you wear high heels to work every day, whatever it is, right? It becomes kind of cathartic, and it becomes like a layer of life, a layer of experience, a layer of whatever it is that you're doing that makes you relate to, not makes you, but like gives you the power and the ability and the opportunities in daily life to relate to other people, right? Which the more we do that in this like very gentle kind of subconscious way, and let go of all the stress and let it kind of just tweak itself, right? Like tuning, fine tuning a piano, or fine tuning, even pipes and instrument. I've had like things go on in my house with pipes and just like weird stuff. Like apparently it wasn't turned on, even though we've been having showers and everything else. Um, just accepting that all of that stuff is just weird, like it's just weirdness. Like all the weirdest stuff out there can be minimized, right? We can minimize that, but don't minimize your own feelings, don't minimize your own vision. And I guess like my 6-year old has been the one to walk me through all of that lately in the last not even week. Like it's crazy how it's felt like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days. It's felt like 5 years. Like I feel like I've been on this little island, and just little things have been dropping from the sky. Like I wish I could feel them, but like I'm just here in this reality, and there's so much stress all the time that like maybe I'm not noticing it, but I'm learning not to let that stuff mute all the things that are so important to listen to and hear. Um, that's what I'm learning out of this. And, I feel like it's a shift. Not, I'm not saying that it's with money, but like it's a shift in power. It's a shift in autonomy, with the animals, with our base, human survival modes and like mechanisms. And I think that, I put this picture up not too long ago here, and I put it up, and all of a sudden this energy started happening, and this is kind of like how I see life, like reincarnation and everything, right? We've got like the heart chakra has like the eye, you know, and things are not necessarily cyclical in like a one forward motion, one way trip kind of way. You can go back and forth, you can go, side to side. And yeah, and I don't know, I've been feeling it. Like the kids were at my work, at my friends who I was helping today, and this ship, this like spaceship airplane thing on this movie went like this in the movie, and my brain was like following it. Like it's everywhere, it's everywhere right now. And I even jumped timelines and was like having a moment where I thought it was like 2029. Like it's just crazy. And um I don't think there's any need to go and elaborate and you know specify every single little thing. Like I think that it's more of people just drawing away from the things that they've been pushed so hard for so long to believe and contribute to because they're so important. Um, because that's exhausting. Like I feel codependent in Walmart. I feel codependent in my car, like getting gas. I feel like being aware of the state of the world, the numbers of the world, the calendar. It's to me that's my most codependent part of myself, feeling like I have to be a part of that to keep it alive, and I really don't care if that all fails. Um, sorry if anybody has a job at a gas station. Of course, I love you and I want you to have like, your rent money, but I actually have neighbors that work at gas stations and other types of jobs like round the clock, and I have a lot of respect for people who work. My 6-year-old said when she looked at the mountains, right? She was like, I'm not being a construction worker. I'm not being a worker. And I was like, that is so my mom. Like my mom, all her files from the government were like, I just want to buy nice handbags, and like, she deserved it. She's of anybody in the world, like my mom, she deserved a break at 12. Like she went through it. And I think a lot of people have, you know, and that's where my heart is sitting, with the eye opening from my heart. I see from my heart right now. I feel from my heart right now. This shift is in my heart. It's been happening for a long time. I remember telling my mom I could feel it, something in my heart. It wasn't menopause, swear to God. Ruled that out right away. I was pregnant. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people could go through menopause pregnant, but I think I was going through like a state of bliss when I was pregnant. And then I guess there was a lot of loss and grief that I didn't expect, and COVID happened, and my heart just kind of like stopped. It literally like felt like I was manually like shifting the gears for a really long time. And now that's gone. Like now I really feel like, I feel safer. And I just think that that's something I need to put out there, because we don't have to always, make things happen, right? Like the advertising that goes on out there is repetitive and perpetual, and it's always going to say that like there's something in it for you, right? And there is, if you if you want to believe that there is, but as a collective, as a human species, it still hasn't, Tide isn't going to fix world problems, right? And if you don't know what Tide is, it's a white powder. It has some additives in it, and it's like very strong, very popular in the cleaning business, which I'm in, and I don't often use it, but when I do, I don't use it in like that way. It's it's good. Okay, anyways, Tide, it's a good thing. Um, but yoga, like dancing and yoga were how I got through all of that stuff, and was like, I don't need $700 worth of groceries every 2 weeks. I don't need $9,000 prescription glasses. I don't need like a grand piano. Like, I can still be a musician. I can still feed my family. I can still, look good and be in shape, all in the comfort of my body, right? In the comfort of my home. And I think that's where this shift is happening. I don't think it's happening in bank accounts, to be honest. I don't think it's happening in politics, like all the things that are big. Those are big already. Like, can we just let them be what they are and start, really being able to focus on ourselves? I think that's so important, right? So, yeah, it hasn't even been, I don't even know how many days it's been since I posted my live from my car, which I basically live in all the time because I'm paying so much for it. But um it's an economy car. It has 6 cylinders, and I don't know, how I got myself into this position, but I'm really embracing it. I'm happy, and it might sound weird, but like, debt is just the opposite of not being in debt. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you're black or white. Like Michael Jackson said, it doesn't matter if you're, you know, rich or poor. It doesn't matter if you're male or female, or if you choose not to decide to be any of that. It doesn't matter if you're the boss or not. It doesn't matter if you're self employed, right? Like, whatever brackets we've been given and faced with for this long don't matter. They just don't matter. Like, our stories are in our hearts, and our stories are in the little things that maybe we're missing because it's just gotten so crazy. I get like $20 gas at a time, and I think to myself every time, what is somebody doing exactly? And I come up with some number in my head, like, you know 12,522 kilometers away from me. Like, where would they be? Like, were they in Alaska? Like, they couldn't be in Alaska unless you went around the world and then like hopped or something. But like, maybe they're like in Australia, maybe they're like in India, maybe they're in Africa. But like, what is it like for them in this moment right now? Like, are they also going to work? Maybe they work like a night job. I don't know. Are they, you know, concerned about the shoes they're wearing? Like, I'm curious, are we going to get there to the point where we don't really need our cell phones and like all of this information? That's amazing. Like, it's great that you can upload 5 trillion words a second, but like, what about our thoughts, and what about just being in a moment that we're all here in? So, yeah, that's what I was thinking about when I left the bathroom. I was like, every single person that I work for, I've been working for them for like a year since moving back here, and some of them were already clients, but they amaze me in just who they are, and everybody amazes me in who they are. And some people are like a little bit much, but the people that I know I'm gravitating with and towards, I feel like we're on a ship sometimes. Sometimes I feel like it's more like a saucer and we're just like, whoa, we're wobbling. But sometimes I feel like it's just like, we are doing this, and there's like stars and we're clear and like it's clarity and we have like perfect vision of where we're going, and there is no confusion and there is no unnecessary, nonsense, right? It makes sense. Like somebody returning a purse, and luckily it wasn't mine. Not that they would have gotten anything, but I do have tap on one of my bank cards, which I should probably take off because just things are getting crazy. But what if my glasses were in there, or like my sage? Like I would have been upset. This is really old. I don't often burn it and I don't buy sage, but this was a gift to me, little things like that, right? I don't have a wedding ring. I do not know how that happened. But, my $100 wasn't in that purse, right? That I didn't lose, but I could have lost it. And the whole could have thing is a thing. Like what if is a thing. And what if we didn't like all have the opportunity to know that we were all here? Like I think we knew before we had technology. I knew that there was like a billion people when I was a kid. I didn't need Google for that. I didn't need the news. I didn't need a teacher. And I think like finding that place in ourselves and filling it with like wonder, how did these people come into my life? And I'm one to just be scared of people. Like I just naturally am anxious. And I have a friend who I tried to reach out to. We've only hung out a few times, but we're very like connected as women. And our small amount of time that we spent together was like just so like um innate, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like just like connecting with a star, like connecting with like how else can I explain it? I don't know, like a dream. Like she's just a really like beautiful person that doesn't see her own beauty. She doesn't see her own beauty because she's most people that I know in my life that are like that often end up being like not well. And you can't really like force somebody to get better. You can't like tell them I'll help you or I can fix you, even though you could just snap your fingers and like you can see that they're beautiful and amazing and wonderful. But anyways, this person shared deep stuff and I don't think that I like could have validated her any better than she did herself, but um to me that was really part of the shift. I haven't heard from this person in so long and it's boom, like all of a sudden like there's all this information, right? And it's happening with my books too. Like I have this book that was given to me and this is by the daughter of this yoga, like the roots of yoga, basically. This is his daughter, and she was really sick and basically like had no choice but to try this thing that she didn't really like doing, which was yoga. And so it was given to me and I barely even touched it. I just know that because I read the first part and that's what the person who gave it to me was talking about. Um, because she was like, you wanted to do yoga when you were 12? And I was like, yeah, totally. Like I was in. Like as soon as my mom offered me to have a yoga teacher, I thought that it would take me till I was like 45, you know? And then this book too, I pulled a card out of the Starseed Oracle and it was the pyramids, and it was fun because the pyramids are truly phenomenal all the time, built with hands, not machines. And, why? Why can't we still do that? Right? Why can't we build dreams and, not have to go through all these crazy hoops and paperwork and permits and, like we didn't need that the first thing that we built, which is big, round, and, you can't even go like 6 feet under it, can you? 600 feet, 1600, 6,000. I don't know. Who cares? It's just a measurement that we made up in our head, right? But it was just so beautiful. And, we even had a pretend conversation with Giza. Like, I was like, hi, Giza, are you there? Like, I want to be back in that happy place is all. And I think that's what this shift is about, is just taking it from feeling like everything is out of reach and like we're getting lower, like debt and everything. And I'm not saying that like people who have a lot of money are not, affected by it, like at all. People who can't sing, like I feel like it's the same thing. Like they still love music, and they still want to hear, like, be a part of it. And so do people who don't have money, right? And it's just, we're all gifted in different ways, but we're kind of segregated, separated, divided, right? And, you know, the birds aren't. So sometimes it's just kind of like, I don't want to train myself anymore to be avoidant and not able to express myself with other human beings, because this is a human experience. I want to protect myself and have boundaries and not include people that are like not going to be a part of the shift. um but I'm not letting that stuff bother me anyways. Like, that's not part of the equation anyways. But I am loving this poster. It's the only thing I really have up on my wall, other than a couple of my own photos from traveling. Um, but it is every day that I, get up, it's there. And um, I got it at the library. I'm pretty sure it's probably like AI, or, somebody designed it with some sort of technological program. But I'm so into the geometry, and in this book, there's a lot of it, like where I'm at the very end here. I don't even know what I'm reading. Like, it's just crazy. Like, she goes through all of these beautiful tetrahedrons, and, words that I've never heard. Icosahedron, hedron, I don't know. But, like, I'm feeling like I'm on another planet after reading these, like, mathematical explanations in this spiritual language. It's ridiculous. And like, there's times where we have some overpasses and interesting like infrastructure here, and I'll be like, I drive all over the city for my work. It's not amazing, but when there's no traffic, which 50% of the time there isn't, because I just have mapped out my jobs like that, and I know the city like the back of my hand because I was raised here. But I'll get up onto like the top of an overpass, and every single car will be like the same color, and all the like decals will be like shining and glimmering, and it's just so magical, you know, how far we've come as humans. And I do give credit to every single human being that has offered that in our lives, including Tesla. Like, the first time that I drove up to the other side of the municipality that I live in and saw the Tesla sign, I was just like, wow, that's crazy. Like, it's crazy just to see it dawn on us, like me and the kids in the car, and in our city, like, after however many years it took to get to the point of having this many electric cars. Like, I just find that kind of stuff happy. I find that kind of stuff, like, it's good to acknowledge it. It's good to give credit to the people of our time who could possibly be the people of times before and just not know it. And we don't know what we're doing. Maybe we're all here just figuring out how to get back, you know, maybe how to walk each other home, how to like do it with this many people. And don't give up, don't give up just because there's like 10 crazy leaders in the world, like, make calling all the shots, right? Because they're not calling the shots for the universe. They're not calling the shots for what's inside us. They're calling the shots for, what's happening in, I don't even know what to call it, the system, like the, the network. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I've stopped thinking about it. But yeah, so I think over the next few days, because Monday it affects the entire world, so I feel like it's kind of everybody kind of has to face the music on Mondays. And maybe in a few days from now, as May starts letting things sprout and letting spring kind of, rise a little bit, um, more of it will be felt, right? But enough of the downward spirals, right? And in the world of um, human resources, like it's silly. I think it's silly at this point. It's like, honestly, it doesn't hugely bother me because I'm so creative, but I can see how, we went to Costco. My youngest wanted a hot dog. I wanted ice cream, and I ate the entire thing so fast. But um, there was like stuff that was literally like double the price, and it was when we first moved into this neighborhood. We're not very far from Costco. And okay, like it's hard to roll with those punches. It really is. It's hard to roll. If somebody didn't give me $100 this week, I would be a different person, and that's the power of money, right? But you can also forget about it. Like this $100 is probably gonna go in some drawer, in some safe, cavity of like, I don't know where one of my decks are, or like in a book, that I know I'm not going to get rid of or something like that. And it's going to be found one day, right? And that's the power I think that everybody has, right? And I think the biggest thing right now is mental health. The biggest thing that's coming up because of what's happening is mental health and how we look at it. And when you see it through the eyes of a child, even if it's a child like my mom, right, who didn't have parents and it was really hard for her as a child. Um, but if you do, and if you can bring yourself to that point, one really good way is just to go onto your knees and then you're small again, right? Or like get down into the garden or go sit on a bench at a playground. Um, Maybe wear a colorful shirt and like bring a book and a lunch so that it's not like so weird. But like, yeah, like go to a crystal store or a mall or a toy store. Toy stores are always a really good place to do inner child work. It really changes how we see problems that I feel like have been a source of mass profit, um, happiness, right? In my part of the world, in Victoria, there's a huge focus right now on medical. Our nurses are supposed to go on strike. And it makes no sense. Like, I was 24 living with a 62 or 5 or 8, I don't know how old he was, um, rep for the union who pulled me up off the street and was like, you look sad. Like, you look like you need help. And I'm like, yeah, I'm living on coffee. Like, every day I was at Starbucks just drinking coffee, meditating and thinking. And he, was an advocate for nurses. And so I'd worked with women. And it was amazing to see how different his attitude was, to the kind of attitudes that are out there pushing for the same thing that has never worked, Um, yeah, I think nurses need nurses, is what I mean. And like, I think bureaucracy needs to be just to have more like pampering, and it's in the movies. We pay for it. Millions of dollars goes into Hollywood, right? And film crews make nothing. And these movies are denoting that we are a species that goes for pedicures and goes golfing, all these different leisurely therapeutic things, but we don't. And I think the more that we allow ourselves to increase that for ourselves, even if it means less Ralph Lauren sweaters at family gatherings or not hosting that big thing that costs money every year. Like I used to host everything. I used to host everybody's birthdays on disability, like make everything from scratch, get the balloons, everybody come over, supply it all, go buy new wine glasses, right? Oh, there's extra people, grab some chairs at like a thrift store and burn out because I wanted that. Family is important to me and I wanted that really badly. But, you know, I had to realize that I have my own life, and I have my own goals and dreams. And I think that that can happen even with people that you're not related to through work, through whatever, through anything, right? Just through getting up in the morning and feeling like that's your purpose in life. When your purpose in life is in your story, in your heart, in your mind, in your dreams. And dreams, if you were to dream while awake in your life, while wandering around, like going to work in your car, like it would be a pretty odd situation. But, we need to train ourselves to, somehow allow ourselves that natural benefit, right? Whether it's more sleep, because otherwise that's what happens. People go crazy, that part of your brain starts to become active when it's not supposed to. But yet it is supposed to. So, like, you can't blame people for having mental health problems, right? I have to learn that with my kids all the time. Like, my middle daughter will go jump off a cliff if somebody that she likes tells her to, because she likes somebody. Like, when she likes somebody, she wants them to be like her best friend forever and ever and ever. It's like her, you know, it could be an imaginary friend. Like, she's just so emotionally like open and connected in a very human way that, you could tell her that a dragon like was going to look after her and she would go with her bag like ready to go because she loves dragons, right? And um there's nothing wrong with having a dream. There's nothing wrong with believing that something good is going to happen, that things are going to change, and sticking to it, right? If that's your story and you want to stick to it. And um they might, whoever they is might say that's crazy, right? They might have already tried to program people into thinking that that's crazy, but it's not. Like, that's what commercials use. Everybody's using it. Everybody's using dream magic, right? And I think that that's a power that people need to take back. That's our magic and our kids' magic. And if you don't have children, um, maybe brag about it in this life, because it's really hard in this life. And all the things that I would say if I could say them, but um my nervous system is like just settling from so much stuff that like it's, that's, I think that's a thing. I think that's like, if my nervous system feels like that, then I know that there's other people out there who, even in really difficult circumstances, their nervous systems are settling too. And it's a beautiful thing to watch people grieve. It's a beautiful thing to watch humans accept things, and the ones that do are the ones to follow, and the ones that do are probably following you, like, I never used Bing, but my friend gave me this computer, and it's every time I open Edge, it's Bing, and I can't change it. It's like you're not allowed to change the homepage, I guess. I don't know. On my computer, you can't, anyways. And there'll be like Formula One, like a Formula One driver, like recently, like left the world, and it was just, the story was like so phenomenal. Like, I wasn't sad at first, like I will be in 2 days from now when it hits me, but when I first read about them, because I've like been watching Formula One for so long, and like, I love the names, and I just like all the things, like way back to like when Marlboro was like an acceptable thing to race on behalf of, and I still think it could be, but maybe in a parallel reality. Anyway, it's just phenomenal to see, this person's wife stayed with them. Like, there are stories that are just so, like, so inspiring, and, they don't bring you down. Not that the ones that bring you down are, should be banned or anything like that, but the stages that people go through, every stage that you could go through is there. And like, as you approach it, there might be like, some more political, like rally, protest type energy, or like just deeply, deeply like saddening, you know, torturous energy, or just loss, right? Like, which is flat out unfair. But I think eventually you train yourself, you train yourself to gallop. And then you start to like, get a little more horsepower, and like eventually you're more autonomous. And that's what human brains were designed to be like. I'll never forget being in the Sistine Chapel, and we went for a little rendezvous first before going there, because I knew it was going to be really busy. And we got to see all this art. It was a special day because they were, I guess, like going through all of like their archives and collections. There's a lot of private collections, especially with Dali. Like with Dali, I studied a lot of Dali on my own. Um, just after I lived with the nurses rep union advocate person. I lived in a Soyuz, very small town in BC, and I studied like lots of artists, like the main artists, because I wasn't, able to go to school at the time. And I don't do well with exams and stuff like that. Like at the time I had no medication for what I had. I just was on the wrong medication. So I was like getting worse basically. And anyways, in this beautiful chapel, or I guess it was like the art side of the chapel, like the whole Vatican, in the Vatican, it was in the Vatican. There was this um, display of Dali's paintings, and there was some big paintings, and then there was a painting that was like literally like this tiny little canvas, and I don't know like how old he was, but like it had like, it looked like a 5-year old had painted it, and it was just so amazing. Like, if it had been in a book, people would probably have looked at it and thought that it was like, you know, millions of dollars. But I guess that's the way that the artist world has evolved, and everything has evolved, right? And maybe one day that painting will evolve, and to have Dali's painting from when he was either, on mushrooms or 5, or maybe like maybe he was old, maybe he was a teenager, who knows? Like, I don't know. But it was like an attempt, right? It was an attempt of some sort, and we know what he's capable of, and this was just like, it was super cool. Like, it was so neat. And I don't know what kind of people were around. Like, it could have been anyone. We were traveling, and it wasn't like crazy busy in this part of the wing of the Vatican, but I feel like I'm always off the beaten path. I'm always like the one to kind of cross over the grass instead of doing, complete 45-degree angle, right angle, or left angle. I feel like I'm the one to try the side door, before, like, and I go through the back of the library, and there's a coffee shop, and like right beside the door to the coffee shop, because it has 2 doors, it's like one of those plazas, is the library door that says like, you may not enter through this, please go through the front door. Like, it doesn't say go through the coffee shop door right there, it says like go around the entire building, right? And I don't, like, I'm the kind of girl who will find a way to get in there as soon as possible, especially if I have to go to the bathroom or something. But that's how I feel like I found this phenomenal, it still makes me feel so special that I got to see this piece of art. Right? There was lots of them. Like, I'm sure there was like every artist had billions of, I have hundreds of paintings from my kids and they're not even like adults, right? Um, it's a responsibility thing. It's like I think it's good that they have museums, and like there's so many of them in France and Italy. We never went to any of them. That was like one of the only things we did because we just always want to be silly and crazy, and I don't know, I kind of like looking at things through books and on TVs and on my phone and on computers. And quite honestly, like I see a lot of stuff in my dreams, so like I don't know. I don't really feel like I need to have an extravagant lifestyle and go on like tons of cruises and ships and trains and planes to see the world. That's like a whole other conversation. But this shift I really feel is just there's so much inner child work there, and there's like so much adolescent work. And I think a lot of people just want to regulate their emotions and just like be in a state that they were born to be in. Maybe just get grounded, get like back to center, and not feel the need to um check in, and check out, time in, time out, like clock in, clock out. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, like whatsoever. I'm having conversations with people who are literally checking out and they're like not checking back in. And it's weird that I use that word because I just bought this adjustable hand grip, and the word checkout, if you can see it, is right beside my finger. So weird. Why would they put the word checkout on there? It's like a lot of design in that right there. Okay, that's it. That's where I'm at. And this was all inspired just by divinity. Divinity, art, nature, crows, of course, death, life, birth, not in that order, but maybe in that order, who knows. And my children, and my mom's friend, and my mom. And I feel like it's this little circle in my life, and I feel like everyone, needs a little wheel, to kind of like a little compass, to guide them. Not one that's always on them, right? Like one that just kind of comes to you. And I still feel like I'm on the island. I'm on the island, and there's so many things that I'm feeling that are really happening, but like I'm not seeing them, I'm just feeling them, which is okay. And maybe I'll see them in my dreams. And I just want you to know that you are the light. I just took that from a book, Light on Yoga. You are the light between the nerve endings that is radiating so much more than you know, and you are the source of so much abundance in intelligence and in feelings that are just like so desirable and so unique. And you know that every single one of us is totally unique, but we are also like birds, and birds of a feather stick together. And I feel like we all are in this together. We're all connected in some kind of neural network of some sort, through the stars, through the light. And, sometimes it's strong, and sometimes it's weak, and sometimes it's really strong, and sometimes the shift is, fast, and sometimes it's slow, and sometimes it's like light speed, and sometimes it's just not happening. It's paused, it's stopped, it's, not going. And that's okay. That's okay too. It's okay to take time out and take breaks and throw in the towel once in a while, you know? So if you feel like you gotta keep going, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep going, remember You don't have to. You can stop and take a bath, stop and smell the roses, stop and look up at the stars, stop and book a plane ticket, lock all your doors. I like to, even close all the curtains and like shut all the lights out and turn my phone off, and just all of us just disappear for a while. And that's also very healthy. So, even though the world's at our fingertips, what's more important is the world inside you. And the world inside me knows that. So, yeah. And this is paint. Okay, I will be back with my new hair and maybe some cards and a tour of what's happening in the garden. If anything extremely phenomenal happens, like a big huge meteor falls on my house, I'll let you know. And please, you also let me know if that happens to you, because I feel like that's part of it. And until then, I love you so much, and I'm dreaming of amazing things for you. And I love all your little tulips and emojis, and yeah, sweet dreams to you guys. Okay, thank you for being here. Ta-ta. Ciao, ciao.